Book reports come in all kinds of shapes and sizes, and here we're really going to focus on the typical kind of report you might have to write in elementary or high school. So usually you give at least some kind of plot summary, and then from there the teacher may ask for more information. So it really depends on what your teacher is asking for, but we would recommend that you give at least some plot summary and then a kind of personal response, what you think of the book. For our book review, we'll use a simple template, and if you want to find this template, you can go to our website, so thenatureofwriting.com, and under book reports, if you click on template, you'll be able to find the template right there. Now, if you use this template, then you're not stuck with it. You can move information around, and you can also take the information later and turn it into a single paragraph or essay. But the nice thing about a template is that you can really focus on one element at a time, and that's why we do recommend that you use some kind of template just to get started. For this template, we've included a number of components. So first of all, we have our name as the student. We have the setting, which includes the time and the place, when and where the story takes place. Then we have the main characters, and make sure you don't include every last character. Really try to limit yourself. You can often use these characters to create the plot summary, so just take the characters and talk about how they interact with each other. And then after that, you can talk about what you have learned, so that can be personal life lessons, can be big ideas, can be themes, and then some personal responses at the end in terms of what did you like, what did you dislike. Now, some tips when you write your book report, and the first thing here is that it's really important not to get sidetracked. So for instance, talk about just the main details of the plot. Focus on the central conflict, try to figure out who's the hero, who's the villain, what is this book about, and in a book report, you can give pretty much every last detail in terms of what happens, whereas in a book review, you want to keep some things hidden. You want some suspense. So don't be afraid to give away the climax of the story. In a book report, that's usually totally fine. Now, in terms of your personal response, you can really talk about any number of things, and we've just organized the information in one way, but you can talk about your personal gut reaction, right? How did you feel? You can talk about the big ideas or the themes. What's the author's message? You can talk about life lessons. You can compare the book with other books. You can talk about genre. So what kind of genre does this book fit into? Mystery, suspense, thriller, who knows what. You can talk about what other readers might like. So maybe you really dislike something, but you think a particular kind of audience might appreciate something, you can bring that out. So there's a huge amount of range in terms of how you respond to the book, and if you use a template, don't let it stop you from talking about some of these things, because sometimes templates can be a bit restrictive. Now, this particular report focuses less on life lessons and a little bit more on how the story represents African culture. So in this case, with the story of Tintin, in this story, the locals are tricked by a magnet. They think that somehow Tintin has these mysterious powers to divert their arrows. The locals also believe in a witch doctor, and it turns out that the Europeans like hunting a lot. They seem to kill every animal in sight. So I think the author is probably justified in finding some racism in this book, and it is indeed a very controversial book. Of all the Tintin stories, this one has been most often banned or censored. So this is one particular response to Tintin, but there are lots of other ways to deal with this story as well. Finally, some tips in terms of what else you can include. So one thing that's sometimes nice is to talk about your favorite character, and then give a bit more discussion. Does the character have some flaws, some strengths? What did you like? Right? There's lots to talk about there. You can give a final rating. So do you give it 8 stars out of 10? Right? That's up to you. You can include a quote or two to give some flavor. You may have to make a decision about whether you want to use I, as we have done here, or whether you want to be more abstract and write in the third person. Maybe that's something to ask your teacher as well. And then finally, if you want to talk more about style, So did you like the way it was written? That may be appropriate, but that also is more common for a book review. So again, ask your teacher what he or she would like. So hopefully that helps you get started with your book report.